Hi all, uh, this is Aiden again. Welcome. As you can see here, we're starting off on the lichess homepage, and in this video I'm going to be talking a bit about what the different time controls mean and a little bit about what ratings are and how they work. One of my subscribers reached out in a comment asking a bit about this subject, and I think this is a good place to start off. And I think moving forward, it should be useful information for yourself and how to maybe think about what kinds of things you want to be looking into and what kinds of games you want to be playing. A lot of that just suits your own style. So as you can see here, I've got the lichess screen open up here, and all these different boxes are time controls. So the first number in each set represents the amount of time that you'll have in total on your clock, meaning the amount of time you have to make all of your moves. So bullet is called bullet for a reason, right? 1 plus 0, meaning you only have 1 minute to make all of your moves. 2 plus 1, that means you have 2 minutes with an additional second every time you make a move. So with that plus number represents how many seconds you get for each move. So it goes from bullet to blitz once you reach 3 minutes, right? So 3 plus 0 is considered blitz, not bullet. 3 plus 2 as well, right? Up to 5-3. But anyway, something that's interesting about this concept is that you're going to have a rating in each of these separate categories: bullet, blitz, rapid, and classical, on lichess at least. These also are the categories that FIDE, the international governing body of chess, uses for over-the-board tournaments as well, but they are slightly different online. Like, for example, in a classical game over the board, you'll have something like 90 minutes to start on your clock for the first 40 moves, with an additional 30 or 40 minutes after the first 40 moves, depending on the tournament. And so I just want to talk a little bit about what ratings are and how they work. So, for example, if I pull up my own profile here, we can take a look at my stats, basically. I mostly only play Rapid and Blitz on this site. That's just kind of the type of chess that I like to play and improve on, generally. So I have a rating in those. As you'll see here in Classical, I've only played 2 games, and this question mark here after my rating means I'm still in a provisional rating. So that, especially when you get started, it's important to note that you'll probably have a provisional rating, not a set in stone one. That means basically that for your first something like 25 games or so, you will be rated based on your performance more sharply. So let's say you play an 1800 rated player and you beat them, and your rating was 1720. Your rating might jump up to 1780, like that. But once you've been playing for a long time and your rating is more solidified, your rating will fluctuate on smaller terms. So that's just a way of them making sure that you get placed in the right category to start off. So the number that you get, this 4-digit number, it can be kind of confusing and ununderstandable to a lot of people. But basically, it's a complicated algorithm that determines what strength you are. And so from what I understand and the bit of research that I've done into ratings, if you're about 100 points higher than your opponent, you're expected to win about 64% of the time. 200 points higher, and that number jumps up to 76% of the time. So you can kind of get an idea of the sort of exponential curve to these numbers. So, for example, I play rapid chess on lichess at around a 2000 level. It fluctuates between 1950 and 2100 ish, something like that. So that's like about an expert level. And, in my games, I find that I make a lot of mistakes here and there, especially when I use the analysis board to check things out. Obviously, the computers are going to know everything and going to criticize everyone's games, even at the highest level. But let's say two 1300 level players are playing a game. It would be very likely that when you use the analysis board to look through their games, the evaluation would jump from, okay, white's winning by four pawns to, 3 moves later, black's winning by 6 pawns, or, the players are less equipped to evaluate the positions effectively in the moment. So basically, once you get into the field of online chess, you'll get a sense of what the different rating levels mean in terms of strength. So, for example, someone between 1600 to 2000 is maybe a pretty good club player that has some decent knowledge of some openings and might be tricky in the opening here and there, but they're not someone who's an expert theoretician. They're not going to every single time have an advantage over a good player in the opening. Whereas once you get into the rating of, like, say 2300 or higher, these are players that have devoted a lot of time to chess and will be consistently playing very precisely, especially in the opening moves. And as I was saying about the different time controls, different players are suited to different controls. So, for example, I have friends that consistently, beat me at blitz or bullet games, where I can consistently beat them at rapid games. This just has to do with sort of my style of being able to kind of navigate the middle game a little bit more thoughtfully and having that extra little bit of time to put the pressure on, for example. In general, the shorter the time control, the more tactical, the more tricky, the more sharp the positions might be. The more likely it is that one side is winning, but it's hard to understand how the position is closed out. And, the evaluation might jump back and forth, like I was saying before. Even at the highest levels of chess, blitz games, it's kind of like a saying in chess, in blitz anything can happen, right? You can go from being completely winning to making a few, imprecise moves, and suddenly you're blown off the board. But, so what I would love for you guys to do, or if you're so interested, is if you're starting to play online, just start to think about what time controls feel most comfortable for you. I suggest starting off with 10-0 rapid. I just think it's kind of a pretty standard amount of time to have a good, invest a good amount of mental energy into your game. If you're just getting into the game, it doesn't really make sense to be playing a lot of bullet where you're just blitzing moves out lightning fast, and not really understanding what you're doing. For example, when I was playing over-the-board tournaments when I was younger, I would play games that lasted sometimes 4 or 5 hours in much longer time controls. And I think these kinds of games helped me think deeply and critically about positions, and that translates to being better at these shorter time controls. It's kind of like if you want to be really good at sprinting, you should probably be able to run a mile pretty fast first. Anyway, you'll see online here, for example, you can see this guy Ali Reza here. He's one of the top GMs in the world right now. He's a 16-year-old player from Iran that has surpassed 2,700 at a young age. He's incredible. You can see his rating is 3,200 on lichess. It's just, bonkers. But that doesn't represent a serious, like, on lichess, on chess.com, on chess24, on these online platforms, a rating is gonna somewhat be inflated because the top players can almost just never lose, and they'll just consistently increase their rating. So you'll see people with ratings over 3,000 and stuff like that. But the highest rating ever achieved over the board by FIDE is the current world champion Magnus Carlsen. He's been as high as 2,882, which is the highest rating ever achieved by a human. But to put this all in perspective, like, let me see, if I go to my profile, and this is something you guys, once you start getting a cache of games under your belt, can do as well. So like if I go to my rapid rating here, I can see the last games that I've played and how I've gone up and down over the past, my different activity here. But if I go to rapid and click on that, so it looks like, on lichess I'm 7,845th best rapid player, which, is something, I guess, but nothing to write home about. But see, here we go. I'm better than 93.8% of rapid players. But that top 7% is really the difference between someone who, like me, has just made chess a hobby and something that I put a lot of thought into and played kind of competitively when I was in my youth. But that 7% that I'm missing right there, that's like professionalism. That's people who have put in hours and hours a day studying lines and openings and just bettering their chess. I don't know if I've covered everything about ratings really and how they can help you. I would love suggestions and comments to potentially continue on in this subject. Potentially we could investigate together some of the more intricate parts of, like, for example, the algorithm that determines your rating, things like that. But it was originally developed by this guy Arpid Elo for chess, but it's actually been used in many individual sports. Like, it's used in a lot of online video games. I think tennis uses it. Football, like soccer, uses it to rank teams nationally. So it's a pretty interesting rating system. And I think that once you start playing different time controls, you'll start to get a sense of where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And then, moving forward, we can... Sorry, it's just taking a second. Alright, moving forward, we can go to, like, for example, our games, right? And lichess is actually really good. You can do the whole thing called Chess Insights, which is analytics from your game, so they help you spot common weaknesses, things like that. Or you can go and find your bookmarked games, right? So, for example, I've got 21 bookmarked games, and those are just games where, let's say there was something that I felt was informative or interesting or instructive about the game. You'll be left with a page like this. Hold on. I'm just clicking a random game here. Right. So this is a page that you'll be left with when you finish a game, right? This is the end of the game that I had bookmarked. I can't remember exactly why I bookmarked this game, but I'm sure there's a reason. But it's a really good way for yourself to be able to go back to the games that you want to highlight that make you think, oh, why did I lose this game for some reason? Or, oh, there was something instructive about the way I played this endgame. Or, oh, the computer suggested a really brilliant move on move 14. So just when you want to, basically, if you see up in the top left corner, this is basically the profile of that game. All the games that are ever played on lichess are recorded, and you just click this little star button. So I just unfavorited it, and now I bookmarked it again. So just click that little bookmark this game option, and I think you can sort of end up with a gallery of games that can help teach yourself, especially with the analysis board. That's all for now. Please let me know if I've missed anything or if you want me to elaborate on any of those concepts. Thanks again.